Today we're going to be making one of my most favorite foods, and that's pizza. I don't know about you, but it is at the top of my list. And why is that? Well, for one, everybody can make their pizzas like they want to, but two, why I really like it, it's a great place to put a lot of vegetables. And in the U.S., there are 6 types of wheat grown, but here in North Carolina, we primarily grow soft red winter wheat. You may have never even thought about that, but today we're going to be using a mixture of soft red winter wheat that has been milled at a local mill in North Carolina, right in Newton, North Carolina, actually. And this recipe for this flatbread pizza, and you may have heard of flatbread pizza, or it's different than thin crust pizza because pizza crust typically has yeast in it. But this recipe we're going to do today is really quick. You don't have to wait for the yeast to rise. It can be done in about 5 minutes with this all-purpose flour. So in the bowl, we've got 3 cups of all-purpose flour and a teaspoon of salt. And you just have to mix this up. Now you can use a food processor, but you don't have to. You can do this with a fork and it can be just mixed together. The flour, you just want to do it till the flour and the salt is incorporated together. And once you have that incorporated, we're going to add in a cup of water and 3 tablespoons of olive oil. So we've got that salt and flour mixed together, and make sure the water is warm because it does make a difference. So we're going to pour that cup of warm water and 3 tablespoons of olive oil. So we want to get this together till it forms a ball. Now if it seems too dry, you can add some more water to it, or you can leave it just like it is. I think that's actually pretty good. And I'm going to separate this into 2 balls. I have lightly floured my surface with just that plain all-purpose flour that I used before. And you're going to take the ball out one at a time, and you can see it's not totally smooth, but it's pretty smooth. And we're going to take a roller and just roll it out. Now I like to get mine thin, but you can do it as thin or as thick as you would like. So once we get it rolled out to the consistency or the thinness that you want, I'm going to get this I almost like to get mine almost cracker thin, but I'm going to get this as thin as I can. But you see the shape. It's not perfect, but that's okay. That's the beauty of this flatbread pizza. But you see, you just want most of it about the same thickness. And then once you get it rolled out to the thickness that you want or the thinness that you want, you're going to transfer it to a lightly floured with cornmeal. And we're using local cornmeal as well that was milled in Rutherfordton, North Carolina. So we've sourced most of our items and ingredients today from local meals and local sources. So we're going to transfer this, and you can, if it's too big, you may have to get like a large spatula, but I think I can pick this up with my hands and put it on my lightly dusted cornmeal cookie sheets. This is the great part of this recipe. It's quick, and you can par bake this. And I like to par bake it because if you don't par bake it, if you go ahead and put your toppings on, a lot of times the center doesn't get cooked well and it's kind of doughy. I like to par bake it, take about 5 minutes, take it out, and then put my toppings on it and put it back in. And we're going to bake this in an oven that has been preheated to 475 for about 5 minutes. Some people like theirs crispier, some people don't like it as crispy. So we're going to par bake it for 5 minutes. We're going to take it out, and then we're going to top it with some yummy ingredients. We have taken our dough out, and you can see it's starting to turn just a little brown, not too much, but if you feel it, it's starting to harden up a little bit. A good thing about this recipe, you can put your ingredients on now, or you can let this flatbread cool. You can wrap it in some freezer-safe paper or wrap, put it in the freezer, and then when you want to use it, you can use it later. Also, if you take your dough before you've ever even rolled it out, if you take those dough balls we had in the beginning and get them in the ball, you can also wrap those up freeze them, and then when you're ready to use them, if you want to do that, you can bring them out when you're ready to use them, let them thaw on the counter for about an hour till that dough is good and ready to be rolled out, and then you can make it that way. So this recipe is very versatile. But what you want to do once you have baked this in the oven, and again, you bake it at 475 for about 5 to 8 minutes, depending on what you want your crust to look like. If you want it a little crispier or maybe a little doughier. But I'm going to brush it with a little bit of olive oil, and this will help bring some of that golden brown to the edges of that pizza, because then we're going to top this pizza. Now these are our toppings, and it might not look like a traditional pizza topping, but that's a good thing, because a lot of the traditional pizza toppings aren't very nutrient dense and they're not the best for us. So we're doing vegetarian pizzas today. I'm not saying you have to do a vegetarian pizza, but flatbread pizza is a great vehicle to get those vegetables in. And when you look at all these different colors, you're getting nutrients, vitamins and minerals from each of these different ingredients. So we've got some fresh basil, and again, with this really thin pizza, you can't put a lot of weight on it because it is pretty thin. So some of these are like lighter ingredients, and you don't have to put a ton of cheese on it either. So we've got some really flavorful ingredients, like that fresh basil, very flavorful, very aromatic. You can really smell it. We've got some orange bell pepper. We've got some yellow bell pepper, and we've got red onion. We've got chopped mushrooms, and then we're going to do one of our flatbread pizzas with a pesto sauce, or a pesto on the bottom, and then we've got a pizza sauce with no added sugar in it. And then we've got some fresh mozzarella. And the thing about fresh mozzarella, you can use pre-shredded mozzarella or whatever pre-shredded cheese, but it doesn't tend to melt as good or as desirable as fresh cheese, just because some additives have been added to the shredded cheese, bag shredded cheese, to keep it from clumping. So we're going to take this first one and use our tomato sauce as our base. I'm going to get a good base of this tomato sauce because I love tomato sauce. But if you've got someone in your home, or even you don't like a tomato sauce, pesto is a great alternative. Or you can just use the olive oil for the base and not have any sauce on there at all. Then we're going to take our vegetables, and we're just going to, you can do this however you would like. Now we're going to put this back in the oven for about 5 minutes, and then I'm going to check it, and if it's to my liking, I'm going to take it out. But if it's not quite melted enough or brown enough on the edges, I may leave it in for another minute or two increments. So we've taken both of them out of the oven, and you can see how good they look. And I didn't put any salt or pepper on them, but after it's cooked, it'll be a good time to add some seasonings to maybe bring out the flavor. And you know, there's a lot of talk about sodium and what you know, how much too much sodium is causing issues. But the little bit that we're going to use to season these is not as much as you would get in a pre-made pizza that you would buy in the grocery store. So not only are these made with local ingredients, but it's a lot more economical and a lot healthier. And then again, when you're using this flatbread as a vehicle for all these vegetables, you know, it's a win-win on a lot of spectrums.